Cass and Jules had just moved into their new home 2 days ago, a fresh start in a new place as they prepared for their first child. The love between them was undeniable, and with Cass being pregnant, they had carefully chosen the house, imagining the life they would build together. Excitement filled the air, and everything seemed perfect. But today, Jules had gone to work, leaving Cass to spend the day alone. As the hours stretched on, Cass grew a little restless. She missed Jules, but also felt the weight of anticipation as they prepared for the baby. Trying to make the best of the quiet time, she decided to explore the house more and think about how to decorate the nursery. Wandering through the house, Cass eventually found herself in the basement. It was cold and dim, but something about the space intrigued her. Among the dust-covered shelves and forgotten boxes, she spotted something odd, a small, peculiar key. At first glance, it seemed ordinary, but when she picked it up and gave it a gentle shake, something strange happened. The key seemed to shift, almost as if it had a mind of its own, slowly turning back to its original position despite her movement. Cass frowned, confused. Curious, she shook the key again, more forcefully this time, but once again, it returned to its starting direction. By the time Jules returned from work, Cass was eager to show him the strange key she had found in the basement. When he saw it, he was intrigued, despite his exhaustion. After hearing Cass's story, he explained, "I think this key is reacting to some kind of electromagnetic field. It's probably nothing to worry about. You should put it back where you found it. Someone must have left it there for a reason." Hoping to relax, he went to take a bath, leaving Cass to ponder the mystery. She wanted to follow his advice, but her curiosity got the better of her. The key's behavior, always pointing toward the same wall, felt too important to ignore. She couldn't shake the sense that it was leading her to something. Without considering the consequences, she began digging at the wall, determined to uncover its secrets. By the time Jules finished his bath, Cass had made noticeable progress, with a hole forming. He stood there, shocked, seeing his pregnant partner working so hard. "Cass, you shouldn't be doing this," he said, his voice filled with concern. "You're pregnant. It's not safe," Jules said, concern clear in his voice. But Cass, her eyes bright with excitement, pointed to the wall, revealing something unexpected. There, where the key had been pointing, was a keyhole. Beside it, a faint outline of what appeared to be a hidden door became visible. "This key must fit here. It's what it was meant for," Cass said, her voice trembling with excitement. Jules hesitated, still unsure of what was happening, but the determination in Cass's eyes was undeniable. Despite his exhaustion and initial doubts, his curiosity got the better of him, and he agreed to help. Together, they inserted the key into the keyhole and turned it, holding their breath. For a moment, nothing happened. They exchanged a look, wondering if the key had been meaningless. Then Cass gasped, "Jules, my hand! It's going through the door!" she exclaimed, her voice filled with awe and disbelief. Jules stared in shock as her hand passed beyond the doorframe, as though the solid wall no longer existed. It was as if the door had opened into another realm entirely. "Is this a portal?" Jules murmured, his heart racing. The space beyond was unknown, shrouded in mystery. Jules, eager to explore, stepped closer, but Cass grabbed his arm urgently. "Wait, we don't know what's on the other side. It could be dangerous." After some thought, they decided to test the portal's mysterious nature. Cass wrote, "Cass loves Jules," on a small ball and tossed it into the portal. They watched in silence as it disappeared. Minutes later, to their shock, another ball emerged, this time with a chilling message. "How do you know our name?" Stunned, they realized someone or something on the other side knew them. The unsettling revelation only fueled Jules's curiosity. "I'm going in," he said, determined. "I'll be back in 5 minutes. Don't worry." Cass, filled with dread, tried to stop him. "Jules, please don't. We don't know what's on the other side." But Jules reassured her and stepped through the portal, vanishing into the unknown. Cass stood anxiously, watching the door, waiting for him to return. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Her nervous pacing turned to panic as minutes became an hour, with no sign of Jules. By the time 5 hours had gone by, Cass was overcome with fear, unsure if Jules would ever come back. Cass could no longer ignore the gnawing guilt and fear. She had warned Jules to be careful, but hadn't listened when he urged her to leave the key alone. Consumed by worry, Cass decided she couldn't wait any longer. However, she hesitated to go through the portal herself. Taking a deep breath, she leaned just close enough to peer inside. What she saw shocked her to the core. On the other side of the portal was a house identical to hers in every detail. Inside, she saw a woman, one who looked exactly like her. Disbelief washed over Cass as the other version of herself spotted her. In an instant, the other Cass fled in fear, disappearing from sight. Cass stood frozen, her mind racing. She realized the portal led to a parallel Earth, a world almost identical to theirs but with subtle differences. This was the multiverse, infinite Earths with infinite versions of people like her and Jules, each shaped by unique choices and experiences. The other cast looked the same, but her reactions showed how different their lives might truly be. Terrified after seeing another version of herself through the portal, Cass quickly shut it with the key and blocked the keyhole with tape. But Jules was still missing, and despite her fear, Cass clung to hope that he might return. Days turned to weeks, and weeks to months. After 5 long months, Cass was still alone, her pregnancy progressing, and the loneliness growing unbearable. Despair consumed her, and she began contemplating ending it all. But then a desperate thought struck her. If she was going to give up, she'd first try one last time to find Jules. Determined, Cass took out the key she hadn't touched in months. With trembling hands, she unlocked the portal and stepped through. The house on the other side was identical to hers. As she nervously walked into the kitchen, she saw another version of herself cooking. Her heart raced as she blurted, "Where is my Jules?" The other Cass looked startled, but not shocked. "Jules? He's playing soccer," she said casually. Cass was confused. "But Jules hates soccer. He loves golf." The other Cass nodded. "Your Jules might love golf, but here Jules loves soccer." Cass's mind reeled. "My Jules came through this portal 5 months ago and hasn't returned." The other Cass hesitated, then spoke. What she revealed next unraveled everything Cass thought she knew and brought the biggest twist of all. The other Cass explained that the portal didn't lead to just one parallel universe. It connected to countless others, an infinite number of worlds. Every time someone passed through, they ended up in a random universe, one they couldn't predict or return from. She revealed that Jules had traveled through the portal 5 months ago, and finding him was impossible. If Cass went back through, she wouldn't return to her own universe, but instead end up in another random one. The realization hit Cass hard. Jules was lost forever, trapped in an endless sea of parallel worlds. Shaken, Cass asked how the other Cass knew all this. "You're not the first," she replied calmly. "Many versions of you have come here, searching for Jules. That's why I wasn't surprised to see you." She explained she had thrown away her key long ago to protect herself and her Jules from the portal. Hearing this, Cass felt crushed. She had lost Jules and now the hope of finding him too. "Where do I go now?" she asked, her voice trembling. Despair twisted her thoughts. If she couldn't find her Jules, she could take the place of this other Cass. A dark plan formed in her mind. Seeing the other Cass as an obstacle, she grabbed a knife and attacked. The other Cass barely had time to react before she was gone. Now, with the other Cass out of the way, Cass took her place, determined to stay in this universe. But deep down, she knew she couldn't escape the guilt of what she had done. Jules was gone, and though she had control of this life, it would never be hers. Cass, desperate to hold on to what little she had left, devised a plan. Using a trick she had figured out, she retrieved the key from the real universe and hid the body of the other Cass, ensuring Jules would never discover what had happened. She couldn't let him know she had killed his version of Cass. When Jules finally returned home, Cass felt relief wash over her. After months of longing and despair, seeing him again melted her pain away. She ran to him, throwing her arms around him. To her, it didn't matter that this wasn't her real Jules. He was here, and she was happy. Jules, however, was confused. Cass's behavior felt off, her mannerisms strange, though he couldn't understand why. Unbeknownst to him, the Cass before him was from a different universe, and his real Cass was gone. That night, Cass lay awake, unable to sleep. She had what she had been yearning for, but unease crept into her heart. While heading to the bathroom, she noticed something that made her blood run cold. Someone was coming through the portal. Frozen in fear, she grabbed toilet paper and threw it at the figure, hoping to stop them from entering. But before anything could happen, the portal abruptly closed. Shaken, she returned to the bedroom, only to find a sight that made her heart race. Standing there was another Jules. This one was different. His expression was dark, unsettling, just like the look she had seen in the other version of herself. The horror of the situation struck as he spoke. He had killed the Jules of this universe. This new Jules revealed that, like her, his Cass had disappeared into the portal. He had spent months searching for her, and now intended to take the place of this universe's Jules. As Cass stared at him, the realization hit. She wasn't the only one willing to kill for a second chance. Cass was terrified as she tried to escape the nightmare unfolding before her. She turned and ran, desperate to get away. But before she could go far, the portal opened again. This time, another version of Cass emerged, holding a knife. Without hesitation, the new Cass stabbed her in the stomach. Overwhelmed by pain, Cass collapsed to the floor, gasping for breath. As her life ebbed away, a horrifying realization struck her. The cycle would never end. Every time, a new version of Cass and Jules would arrive from another universe, killing their counterparts to take their place. The portal had created an endless loop, one that could never be stopped as long as it remained open. In her final moments, Cass thought back to Jules's warning months ago when he told her to leave the key alone. If only she had listened, none of this would have happened. The portal would have stayed closed and they would have been safe. But it was too late. The multiverse had been unleashed, and now it was devouring everything. As Cass faded, a ball fell from the portal, landing beside her. It bore the same message she had written so long ago. Cass loves Jules. It was a grim reminder that, in another universe, another Cass and Jules had found the portal, and the cycle was beginning all over again. Cass understood now that the greatest threat wasn't the multiverse itself, but humanity's endless curiosity and inability to leave the unknown alone. With her final breath, she closed her eyes, knowing that no matter where they were in the multiverse, they were doomed to repeat the same mistakes, searching endlessly for what they could never truly understand.